What's going on, everyone? So today I'm doing a breakdown of my first year dynasty with Liberty. I did this back in the summer before this past football season because I was working at Auburn. So obviously that would have been kind of a weird look. But I used to work here at Liberty from 2018 to 2021, as you can see in the pictures. So kind of going to take you behind the scenes a little bit of what the recruiting process looks like in the real world and apply it to Liberty. Obviously, some familiarity with a lot of these players. There'll be some gameplay involved too, but let's get into it. So looking at their roster, obviously Liberty's got one of the best, if not the best, in all of Conference USA. And obviously a lot of that starts with K-Salt, who we took when we were there. Cooley obviously is a really good back. Shout out BG, Jordan White, CJ Basil, Trayon, Bentley, Q, TJ Bush. A lot of those top guys we recruited and took when we were there during my time. Austin Henderson was a big-time portal addition that we took. Jerome Jolly. So you can see that they've got talent on both sides of the ball. Some of it young. Obviously, we always did a pretty good job in the portal. I felt like James Joyner was a guy that we recruited in high school, and they ended up taking him once he left Arkansas. But you can see there, obviously, lots of talent, right? Looking at K-Salt, again, top guy. Berger, Jaden Bradford is a really, really good young high school quarterback, or was a good high school quarterback, I should say. But obviously a really good running back room. Cooley, Lucas, Joyner, Billy Lucas when he left Duquesne. We were looking at him at Houston for a little bit, and then Cooley's obviously become kind of a household name, become a real NFL prospect. Fullback, Austin Henderson's a tight end. Fullback, there's no fullback in Liberty's offense, not in the traditional sense at least. You got Trayon, who's their highest rated guy at 82. We took him our first year with Coach Freeze. Deontay Lee, some of those other guys. Deontay Lee was really unique. He was a D2 transfer. Julian Gray, the NC State kid, I believe. Got a lot of kick return ability, but pretty good room, solid receiver room, solid tight end room. Obviously, we took Bentley and Austin out of the portal when we were there. That was at the end of my last year at Liberty after the 2021 season. So they become really good players. Xavier Gray, who obviously he's left now and is moving up to Power 5 or Power 4 rather. Become a really big body, long, big, play a lot of football. Jordan White's on the move. Harry Hayes from Pittsburgh. Love Harry, man. He's a great kid. He's becoming a pretty good player over there. And the same with Aaron Fenimore. A lot of these kind of middle three guys, right? They're all just kind of on the younger side, right? You see redshirt freshman, true freshman. Brian Hannibal from Maryland is becoming a pretty good player. We signed him our first year with Coach Freeze. But yeah, obviously they've done a good job with this offensive line room. I think that they have added guys from the portal, developed some of the younger guys, starting to pay dividends. Obviously, the defensive line room, when we were there, was always a strength. Good JUCO kids, portal guys, high school guys. We did a really good job there. TJ Bush has become a really, really good player. I bet you if he were to enter the portal, he'd get some Power 4 opportunities. The D-tackle, we have Bryce Dixon, Chris Body, Jay Hardy. All three of those guys have become kind of impact players for that defense. We saw some of those signs early when we took them, and just watching them develop has kind of become a unique and cool thing. They become really good players. Jerome had a breakout year. Jacksonville kid. Brenton, don't know much about him, to be honest with you. Jaron Flowers, sorry if I'm butchering it. Don't know much about him, but and same with the linebacker room. Joseph Carter, he was a kid that we took when we were there. Man, he has really developed into a good player and just become like an impact player on defense for them. Had a great year last year. Some of these other guys not familiar with, Ethan Crisp, we recruited a little bit. Seneca Moore and the Jamar Brown, not as familiar with those guys. But in the DB room, Dominic Hill, Mo Williams. Mo went to the same high school as K-Salt. Shout out Cedar Hill. Joshua Wiggins, Marquise Bell, Dexter Rick. Shout out to those guys, man. That's a pretty good room that they've put together amongst the corners. Safety, BG, that's my guy. Louisiana Boot Boy, big-time baseball player in high school, man. I was super fortunate enough and blessed enough to be a part of his recruitment and just helping him get to Liberty. And great kid, great family. Shout out Q. Q's become a really good player for them too, man. I think his football is still the best football's ahead of him. Got a Corey Jones, become a really good player as well. We signed both of those kids, he and Q, when we were there. Specialist room, I don't know much about specialists. I'm not going to pretend to now, but a lot of those guys with Max, they were there when we were there as well. So kick returners, Victor Van, Buford kid, they've got some dynamic return guys, that's for sure. Julian Gray has he's got a history of doing it and doing it at a pretty high level. So, this is a pretty good roster. Obviously, as you can see, 81 defense, 81 defense, 80 offense, 80 overall. That's a good roster. And it shows in real life. It shows in the real world football. They've won a lot of games, done a lot of good things. So let's get over here into the recruiting board and just kind of show and talk about really how we're going to set this up. And looking at this here, you have your position needs and your roster needs. Every year is different. It depends on where you are at each room. Obviously, we have 3 total scholarship quarterbacks. Some schools carry 5, some will carry 4 on scholarship. It just depends. Same with running back. It looks like we have 6 here. Yeah, we have 6 fullbacks, whatever. 11 total wide receivers. You might be one over at most places. Usually you have 10. So again, 11 is probably why we don't really need any per se. 7 scholarship tight ends. I don't know if they're counting the fullbacks in there, but that's a crazy amount. I would bet most schools carry 5 and max out at 6. Offensive line, you can never have too many. 2 left tackles, 4 left guards, 3 centers, 2 right guards, and 3 right tackles. We kind of don't, I would bet most programs don't really differentiate between left and right. A lot of times you're really just signing tackles and you're signing middle 3. Now, granted, each program, each school is going to be different in their philosophies, but I think really tackle is kind of ambiguous. You're signing tackle bodies, guys that you think could be tackles for you regardless of whether you think they can play left or right. So that's kind of the unique aspect of it. And middle 3 guys for center and guard, it kind of just depends. But moving over to the defensive line, kind of looking at the same principle between left end and right end. It's all defensive end that you're focusing on primarily. There's whether you differentiate between left and right is going to be, depending on what you do on defense. But most of the time it's 8 ends or edges, give or take, and 8 along the interior. So 16 defensive linemen, again, give or take, those are always going to be your higher numbers, just like offensive line. You can never have too many big bodies on the interior and too many athletic guys rushing the passer. At linebacker, you're kind of looking at 8 usually. So, it looks like we have 10 here. So we're a little bit over. But again, the game is different from real life, but just kind of comparing, those guys will be on special teams, a pretty good amount. And the same thing in the DB room. Corners, 10's that's a pretty accurate number. Safety is going to be always a little bit higher just because there's going to be some positional flex. And again, those guys will be on special teams as well, the DBs. So these right here, I have to admit, they're a little bit funny, and I get it. Again, it's a video game, so I don't want to put too much stock into it. But championship contender, it's just funny seeing that as a C-, like knowing what the landscape is, because again, Liberty was on track to be the best G5 team, which would get them, berth in the playoff spot. If everything would have played out well, being the higher ranked team. So it is what it is. Brand exposure, pro mentality, or pro potential rather. Again, all those things are going to be dependent on your resources and your staff. Liberty has tremendous resources. They have a great staff. I would imagine both those things combined to make it higher than a D+. But campus lifestyle is hilarious. Awesome campus. Beautiful. Academic prestige, that might be accurate. Who knows? Coachability, D+. Again, that dude, Chadwell's not going anywhere. If anything, he's going to leave on his own accord. So some of those things are, obviously, I get it. It's a video game, but like being behind Kent State and Colorado State, don't know if I would agree with a lot of those things. But again, conference prestige, athletic facilities, D-. I implore all of you to Google Liberty's facilities if you don't know them already. They are worthy of an A. It's an insane campus. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, obviously, a little lesser known compared to some other schools. Maybe a little more known for some of the other stuff that goes on or has gone on, but I digress. But, looking at some of this, obviously some of it is definitely up for debate. But let's get into the recruiting list here. So, when you're building out this list and the board, rather, so I built it out. Again, it's going to be dependent on, how many guys you want in each position, how many you're planning to sign. This is the process right here first, right? So basically, if you were to build the board, you would start by doing the evaluation, right? This is what we're doing. We're scouting him, evaluating him. Obviously, this guy's a gem, so his depth trait should be better. 3 stars, basically, he's basically a 4-star is my understanding of how that works. But again, so you scout, you do the evaluation, you offer the scholarship, you build it out from there, kind of go position by position. So this is a lot of, what I've done in the past is, the evaluation side, obviously working at Liberty, Houston, then Auburn. You're always evaluating these guys, add them to the board. We obviously, from a video game standpoint, you add them to the board first, and that's just kind of how it works. But this is still pretty accurate and similar. Like you're evaluating them, you're scouting them. Right, this guy's basically a 2-star. So in a real world example, you would evaluate him, take him off your board, and probably not offer him a scholarship. So kind of just depends on what you want to do and where you want to go and what your developmental plan is for each position. I'm not going to go through the whole board because I think you guys get the point of it and the gist of it. But moving on to the next phase of this, right? When you're spending your points on what it is you're doing with these recruits, essentially developing this relationship with them, right? So this is where it comes into play, whether you're talking to the kid, talking to their family, and then how you're doing it, right? So there are obviously various factors. When, for us, regardless of what school we're at, everyone was involved, right? It was the kid, DM, FaceTime, text, all of that stuff. You're always finding creative ways, creative outlets to reach them, whether it's graphics, following up with them during the season with their games. You're always finding creative ways to get them and their family members and their champions involved. So obviously everyone's home life and background is different. Some people don't have parents involved, maybe it's aunt, maybe it's grandma, maybe it's, their coach or whatever. So you're always finding ways to get them involved and figure out, how can we reach them and how can we continue to show our interest in this kid and show them why we're the best fit for him. So the biggest part obviously is getting these kids on campus, right? So scheduling the visit like this, that's a huge part. They need to see us, we need to see them, they need to see our school, have some face-to-face conversation, because regardless of the communication day and age that we live in, the ability to have those face-to-face conversations is huge, and get a chance to just spend time around the kids and their family, see what makes them tick, get a chance to kind of see what their energy is, see how they learn a little bit, and just get a chance to really know them. There's only so much you can really do over a text and a call. So we'll kind of skip ahead here, and we're going to skip past FCS East. I would hope that we can beat them. And yeah, off to a good start. Week 1 recruiting, 4-star kid that, we made his top schools, and that stuff happens pretty early. I think earlier than ever now, guys are coming out with their top list, getting decisions made faster. We're going to skip past New Mexico State. I know history suggests that we should do that, but I'm going to do it. I feel confident. We started out 1-0. Again, we lost out on Geo, which stinks, but we got 2 big-time recruits that we are now first in their interest. That's a good start. Obviously, boom, 2-0. So good start. It's probably what we should be. And looking at it here, we beat FCS East, New Mexico State. Kind of a tougher stretch coming, but heck of a game from K-Salt there. 5 touchdowns, only threw 1 pick, completed 85% of his passes. High rating. Quentin Cooley did his thing. He always eats, man. Billy Lucas, again, Salter on the ground, James Joyner. The running back room really got going, man. You look at the receivers, obviously a lot of people got involved. Multiple people with a catch. Offensive line, I'm sure, did their thing. Defense, havoc records, man. Guys are in the backfield. Look at that. Look at all those sacks. Love it. I seen an interception there. So we're getting in the backfield, creating disruption, creating turnovers. That's the name of the game. So really good team that we've got here. Strong start. I like it. I really do like it. And then we got a first commit. He's a 1-star kid, but, hey, Liberty's made their money off of that. Now that we've advanced, move on to another week. Got our first commit. We got some guys really coming in that are really starting to kind of narrow down their focus and are really liking us. We're going to take a look at this board here and just see if there's anyone else out there that is really worth adding. Obviously, we lost out on Geo. It's always good to keep a big pool of guys. And the biggest thing, too, that every school does is that as the season goes on, right, players get better. Guys that we may have watched before the year, may have watched even a year ago, you have to keep track of those guys, and you have to make sure that you kind of keep a running list of the key priorities to circle back on as the year goes on, right? Guys get bigger, faster, stronger, and they just get better. Development happens at a much different stage for everybody. So, setting the visits is going to be key, too, depending on where people are in the recruiting process, right? So maybe not so much in the game, but in real life, right? So if you were to look at this bar and say, okay, well, he's about to come in on his top five schools, right? How do we want to time our visit? We've got to be super selective. If he's going to come in on his top 5 and he's only got 2 or 3 visits left, we got to make sure that we're strategic about this visit, right? Do we want to go way late, potentially last game of the year, Western Kentucky? Maybe not. He may have his decision made by then. We may not even get to that point by the time he commits. So that's always the key aspect of it too for us. Obviously, the recruiting calendar is a little bit different than what's in the video game. Obviously, I'm going to be a broken record saying some of that stuff, but that's just kind of the strategy behind it, right? Nowadays, especially at Auburn, when you're kind of a big-time program and you're recruiting a high-caliber kid, a lot of those guys really like to make their decisions early. So they'll come in, take their official visits in the summer. Sometimes, we had a couple guys that took them in the spring. They were at their spring game, going into their senior year. Quarterbacks especially, a lot of them like to make their decisions early and just, be done with their recruiting process and just focus on their senior season. So it's kind of an interesting strategy, but you do have to be, like I said, strategic with it because everyone's different. Some kids aren't going to make their decision until December, right before signing day. You'll take visits during the season, which isn't always the best thing. It's not always the easiest as much as it would be if they just came in the spring or the summer, but you work around it and find ways to make it happen. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do and what the kid wants to do too. So I really like this part here, though, where you can add the action and you can talk about, focus and center in on what it is that appeals to the kid, what your rating is relative to it. It's hard, obviously, from a video game standpoint for Liberty because they rank, middle to low in a lot of them. But at the end of the day, we're able to recruit really good classes and overcome, some of those challenges that we faced. We even beat out some P5 teams for kids, and it wasn't uncommon for that to happen. So find a way to overcome those challenges and kind of make things work. So we're gonna play ECU here. We jumped ahead, simmed UTEP, so we're 3-0 heading into a home game. Obviously, I know things have looked a little disjointed, but I just kind of want to focus on really the recruiting aspect and things of that nature. And we'll have some gameplay in here. Obviously, some of it's not going to be the best gameplay you've seen. Obviously, I've had about 6-7 months to kind of perfect my craft and get a little bit better at the game. I'm still really not that good, but definitely have found some better strategies than what you're going to see here. So Williams Stadium is pretty cool. Obviously, we got a little rainy day game here. It wasn't obviously uncommon in Drenchburg, as people called it. So we're going to play ECU here. On defense, I am a mess. I am still no good. I can't fit the run. They get the RPO, pull it. Great tackle, man. I mean, just diving their feet. Like, that's never a winning strategy, obviously. So, but we're going to get the ball back on offense here. Little play action. And I love their offense, man. I mean, obviously, when you have a quarterback that make a lot of throws and you have good receivers, like, that helps make the offense go. But pretty cool stadium back there, so you can see like the background on the visiting sideline. That front bottom row is all student section, as I think this is Rajay Harris, as he breaks a big run. You got the band in the background in the end zone, which is always cool. They strike it up, when we score, and it's really cool when we score down there. So cool stadium. Obviously, we're struggling on defense here, and my red zone defense is especially bad. So we're gonna have to score a bunch of points and try to get some plays on special teams here. Block the kick, right? Don't really do anything with it, but we're going to try to turn it into points here before the half. Give the ball to Cooley here. I mean, this guy runs really hard. He's a good back, even in real life, obviously. I think he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons at Liberty, so kind of a thicker build. Pick 6 here. Missed the first part of the play, but we respond right before the half to kind of tie it up. Make it 21-20 here. We'll get the replay of it. Obviously, not a very good play by the quarterback, but great play by our DB, bring it in, score 6. Again, special teams and defensive touchdowns here. We're just going to run in with K-Salt. Excited to see what he does at Colorado next year, man. He was a fun player to recruit out of the portal. You watch his high school film. He did a lot of good things and was a great fit for Chadwell and what they do. So big third down sack here. Kind of close out the half, go in, up 7. And we're just going to shorten the stem on the slant, get a little rub action, throw the out, and walk into the end zone. So we're building momentum, building a nice lead here. I'll probably find a way to screw it up. That's usually what I do. But here we go, back on defense, try to get some pass rush. Again, quarterback, awful throw. We got Mo here picking it off. And, just turning the ball over field position. Those are huge things, right? So back on defense. Couldn't do anything on offense, of course. Squandered a lot of possessions in this game. It is what it is. Finally get a sack and make some good plays on defense. Again, couldn't do anything on offense. Squandered another possession. Quarterback puts it back up to us again. There's Q, big 1-6, man. Really good safety. So, we played better on defense down the stretch. I think that was that touchdown we just gave up were the only second half points we surrendered. So we're gonna get this vertical route. They're gonna press, run right by, make a good throw. So, man, really good game all the way around. Obviously, some things to clean up. Defense, 3 seconds left here. But defense, we gave up some big plays, but we made some pivotal plays when we needed to as well. So, again, just bad coverage and positioning and reacting. But, a win's a win. I love that when they celebrate or when they react like we lost rather than celebrating the win, and it just goes right back into a celebration. So, yeah, that's funny. But, man, Williams Stadium looks great in the game, obviously. 34%. Yeah, I'm not the most efficient passer, so I just like to put the ball up and see what happens. But Williams Stadium is really cool. So like where he's running, obviously that's where the band is. They have some suites and cabanas up there that are new. On the other end, where that brick building was the operations building, kind of where everything is housed on a day-to-day basis. So got the fight song after the game. I don't remember them really doing that in real life, but yeah. So Chris Body of the week, you see with the 3 TFLs and the 1 sack, man, his high school film was really, really good. He was at St. Vincent Pallotti in Maryland, so become a really good player on the shorter side, but one of those twitchier defensive tackles, plays with great leverage, gets upfield, does all that stuff. So we're 4-0, man. We're sitting good, sitting pretty. I like where we're at. obviously as we continue to kind of fill out the recruiting board, assign our points and do those things. Again, going back to the visits, even in the game, I realized, again, I made this in the summer, so I learned more as I went, but even being strategic with the visits was a tough part, and just making sure that you had obviously enough points throughout the week, and then obviously that you were able to get visits on in time. I tried to be that real world strategy I tried to apply. If they were outside of their top 5 or maybe closing in on their top 3 and you hadn't scheduled a visit, you want to try to get those in as soon as possible, depending on the stage they are at in their recruiting process, and even having other kids on visits with them, right? If they're on defense, if you have a defensive tackle there, you got a defensive end or a linebacker coming in. Those are great experiences, even in the real world. So to finish up these, signing these points, scheduling some of these visits, then we're going to hop into this App State game. Obviously, this game did not happen because of the hurricane. Tragic situation for all those involved on that side of the country, and hopefully, the repair and the recovery efforts have been a lot better and have improved. So we'll see what happens here. This would have been a really good game in real life. Obviously, App State's a great program. They've had multiple players that have entered the portal, and they've either committed to Power 5 programs or have offers or taking visits to Power 4 programs. So, they've got a great looking stadium too. I've never been, would love to go, but obviously you can see they did a pretty good job here too. I mean, they were used in the trailer for the game, I'm pretty sure too, because it's pretty scenic. If you pull up some of the pictures on Google with their campus and their athletic facilities, man, they're pretty sweet. But here we go. We're going to take off. Again, this is like so vintage me, right? Just throw it up, throw a pick. Again, I'll put it in the air, but it's not always going to go. It's not always going to go to our team. So it is what it is. Come out firing. I thought we had them, with the deep crosser, but it is what it is. So back on defense here, but we're just going to keep trading picks. And this time Jerome's going to, he's going to pick this one off. Great instincts, get in front of the ball, break a couple tackles along the way, and defensive touchdown. I mean, that was pretty cool with the dive. So. Yeah, defensive special teams, obviously, you score touchdowns in those phases, you're going to win a lot of games more often than not. So, man, he had a great year in real life and in the game. So we make another good stop here, got another red zone opportunity. Again, I just kind of do dumb stuff, right? It is what it is. I have no structure or rhythm on offense. A lot of it's just kind of playing backyard football and seeing what happens. So get down on defense, red zone defense, obviously, big struggle for us. You're going to see that as a common theme throughout the game, but give up the touchdown here. Good one run by Cooley, bounce it outside. Obviously some decent stick work there. I'm pretty sure I am playing on like the middle difficulty, the one right before All-American, just because I had to get acclimated to the game again. I mean, I hadn't played Madden a lot, but really hardly at all. Obviously, love playing, giving up the inside slant for a house call. Pretty sure that's Caden Robinson, really good player. He's in the portal right now. And exploring some P4 opportunities. Again, kind of goes back to what I was saying before the video, but flat combo to the field, which is open. We can probably throw it. It's probably a higher percentage throw than throwing this one up to Bentley, but we get in the end zone. Got a comfortable 2-touchdown lead going into halftime, but again, no coverage, no tackling, just bad defense across the board. Out of position, so again, we have an opportunity here. I love running FIB, formation in the boundary, so we're going to go trips into the boundary here. We just have smash. No one covers the seam route. Again, that's undefeated right there. Great leverage, a good opportunity to attack, some of the looks that they get into if they want to man you or press you like that. So get into the end zone, or almost get into the end zone rather. Get down to the 1. Would have been nice to score, so we don't have to be in the situation that we're in now. But again, big guys getting down the field, get up to the line. I'm just going to get a stick concept, throw the X. I mean, if he's going to bring edge pressure, we're going to throw that all day, just blitz and replace. So good opportunity there, get some points on the board, RPO game. So this is now where I've kind of become, really good and really comfortable with is running the RPOs. And same thing with Liberty, Chadwell and Freezer, they're RPO guys, especially Freeze. So get in the end zone here. Obviously, we got a chance to kind of secure a big road win. Made stops on defense, only giving up, 3 points on defense. I love this play, right? Motion the back out. If it opens up like that, parting of the Red Seas, let's go. Let's take it up the middle. So we're going to get a chance really to kind of change some of this stuff here. I love the Texas route on the opposite side, running across, kind of cutting across the defense. Got Y coming open underneath. You kind of just are attacking. It's a vertical stretch. You're attacking 2 levels. So that'll come open at a pretty high rate. So back on defense here. Again, red zone defense. kind of the nemesis of us, but it is what it is. Give up a touchdown, we know we're going to get the ball back, drive it down the field, punch it in with Cooley. That is one thing that I feel like we've done a really good job, and we'll continue to do a good job as a strength of mine is playing offensive football. So down multiple scores, not a lot of time left. It's really no surprise what they're going to do. So quarterback puts it up, leaves it short. Again, we're kind of trapping that route to the sideline anyway. So not a good decision. Surely there was somewhere else to go with the ball. So get off the field, get another win. Sitting at 5-0, I believe. So just going to kind of jump into the recruiting here. Obviously, we lose out on 2 kids to Duke and Maryland. It really wasn't uncommon even in the real world at Liberty. You just kind of regionally lose out on some of those kids who want to go play Power 4 football. So our board's looking kind of small right now. We'll probably add to it as we go. Again, they were pretty freshman heavy at a lot of positions, and I want to leave some spots open to the portal, just because that's the fun part, right? Is taking the college kids and building the roster, adding lots of talent and being able to make a run at things while the young guys develop. So I don't know how much we'll really add to the board. As the season goes on, your board does tend to change and fluctuate as guys play. Sometimes they don't look as good. Obviously, sometimes they look better, showing improvements. Other guys kind of come on the radar with big performances. So, and again, this is my first kind of crack and try it at recruiting in this game. So as you guys watch this and maybe you see some of the stuff I'm doing, it is, head scratching or questionable, and please put something in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to know what works well and what are kind of some of the winning strategies. Again, I just kind of took a stab at it. And recruiting at Liberty, even in the game, is going to be a lot different than if you were running a dynasty with a bigger time program. So, we're going to play this game against FIU. I was really on the fence about it because they're 2-2 and we're 5-0. And even in the ratings kind of reflect that too. So, but I want to have the perfect season. I want to go all the way, and I don't want to leave anything up to chance. So we're going to play FIU. In that player entrance too, that's accurate. That's real. They come out of the side of the building right there. Because again, that's what houses the facilities. They run out through the fence. Pretty cool entrance, pretty cool game day experience, honestly. Again, that bottom row that you just saw is all students. That's the entire student section on the first row right there that FIU is running by. So, it's pretty cool. It seats 25,000. When they're doing really well, they're around 20 or so, 17 to 20, give or take. So, come out firing here, go up 7-0. It's always a good opportunity to kind of create an early lead. Don't really have a lot of concern about this game. Again, I said it multiple times before it started that we're the more talented team. Again, underthrown ball, go up and make a play. That's Mo, man. He's got great ball skills, fighting through the tackle attempts with the ball in his hands, kind of flip the field for us in a big time way. So I love the smash. Here we got smashed to the boundary with the running back coming up behind him. That's a questionable throw for sure. Should have thrown the corner route. Corner sat, and there was a lot of space for that one. So it is what it is. Sometimes rather be lucky than good. Again, finding space. I like the slant flat to both sides of the field. Should run the ball, but I want to give our tight end more space for this route and just kind of create a clearer route and essentially you would rub off of it. B's open way before that. You cannot throw that slant that late into the window. That late window will get you benched because you'll make throws like that more often than not. But we're on the 1 yard line, so at least we have an opportunity to kind of stonewall. Again, in the backfield, man, we got penetrators on this defense. So get the safety. Again, defensive points. That's been a common theme of this video. We're really, really nails on defense. So again, we're going to run smash into the boundary with the seam route. Safety rotates away from it. Takes a pretty good throw, sticks it in there. Again, and that's Dante Lee. He was a D2 transfer from Shaw University, if my memory serves me correctly. So film was really good. He's a good player in real life too. And boy, this tackling is tough to watch. So got to get that fixed. But we're going to send 5 out. Got the post corner. Safety keeps gaining depth. You're just going to leave that wide open underneath him. So we'll take that 10 times out of 10. Try to get some no huddle stuff going. It's just really about finding kind of the right call off of it. I'm hit or miss. I'm kind of iffy on what I like, what I don't like. You get the double slants to the boundary. I do like messing with his stem and kind of shortening it. And we're going to get this kind of bang 8 posts off of it. Again, we'll take this all day. That safety's going to drop and gain depth. That's going to be open all the time. So we'll take that. Going to bring pressure off the edge and leave him wide open and miss another tackle. So if you like offensive football and you like points, this is the right video for you. There's going to be lots of points in it. We're going to run 4 verts. Again, he's going to press. We're going to take that all day. Treyon's had a really good career for us. We signed him. I think we signed him as a running back initially, moved him to a receiver. He's really come along and become a really good player at that level. So really been fun to watch him develop and kind of find a role for them. Again, we're just going to run forwards again because if they're going to go too deep, they're going to give us all this space. I mean, we'll take this all the time. You had A open, you had RB open. It looked like B had leverage. So, yeah, I mean, we'll take the deep shot all day. And playing a little bit better on defense again. FIU, not exactly a very talented offensive team, but we'll get Cooley involved too, get the ground game going, try to mix it up. As much as I do like to throw, obviously running is usually more effective, especially when we can run block and we can block these guys. So, again, great pick by Q here, break a tackle. Again, he's going to flip the field for us. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We've taken the ball away, gotten yards after the catch, and just better field position for our offense. And taking shots again. I mean, it's open. We'll throw it, So, gets us down to the 5. Another opportunity to kind of punch it in. Up 30 points here. I don't really want to put the ball in the air. I just, I want to be smart and just kind of run the ball, kind of run the clock out. But, we got to score points. I want to score as many points as possible. That's a great shot at campus too, by the way. There's our indoor to the right, kind of up in the corner. That's our newer indoor facility. But, I mean, this is just a risky throw. Do not make that throw. That's probably good. If I'm playing All-American or Heisman, it's getting picked off. But great catch by Bentley Hanshaw, and that's who he is in real life. He's a receiving threat at tight end. This guy's got all day to throw, but of course, we can't tackle. Again, common theme, right? But we do force it out. So, again, turnovers, tips and overthrows, turnovers, forced fumbles, right? Just flipping the field, giving our offense more opportunities. Again, we've got two deep crossers there, and they just gain too much depth, constantly. So we're going to just take what's given to us. Pass rush has kind of been inconsistent today, but again, going to underthrow it. And we've got good back end back there. We've got 2 good safeties. We've got good corners. They do a good job of taking it away, when the ball's in the air. So I don't really want to run up the score, but I'm going to, of course, because why not? If you don't like it, stop it. We got a 60 burger here. And, man, just great performance by the offense. We did not play great on defense relative to kind of the talent level, but again, we're playing quarterbacks that are putting the ball up like that, right? It doesn't take a whole lot of talent to intercept those, but there's Mo, man. I mean, Mo Williams is a heck of a player, does a lot of good things for them, and he's having a heck of a year for us on the game too. So, I don't love the bubble into the boundary. We're just going to run stick and try to run the RPO off of it with the backside slant. If he's going to press us again, though, we're going to take the vertical all day. If you're playing vertical, if you're playing press, you're playing inside leverage against verticals. That's what's going to happen. So, pretty strong performance offensively, right? 14 plus points in every quarter. Played well on defense. Took the ball away 4 or 5 times, I think. K-Salt, obviously 61%, scoring all those touchdowns. It's been a huge benefit. He's really good in this game. So we come back out of that, still undefeated, and look at this, man. We've got multiple commits. A couple of running backs have committed to us, 3 stars. That's big. That's a position we can never have too many good ones. Obviously, we miss out on Hutton Dare at the bottom, committed to Army. It is what it is, man. But we're still in it there with the 4-star, and there's Quentin Reese, player of the game, 3 picks. Right, or player of the week, rather. K-Salt, offensive player of the week, 8 touchdowns. Should be the national player of the week. Yeah, I was going to say. 439 yards, 8 touchdowns. We'll take that 10 times out of 10. So, jumping to recruiting here. Obviously, we've added some guys to the board. Like I said, we had to. It was a little small. And you just want to have backup plans, right? Just in case the guys that you really want, you miss out on. So, we've evaled this guy, 1-star kid. We'll offer him a scholarship just to get in and keep him on the back burner. And this is what schools do in real life too, right? Especially kind of as the season goes on and maybe you've missed out on some of the guys you really, really want. You circle back on the ones that have been on your list or the ones that have been on your radar. And, you just kind of pick up the recruitment on them. Sometimes they play, like I've said multiple times, sometimes their play gets a lot better as a senior. So they're worthy of that scholarship and that recruitment. But, most of the time you want to have backup plans. It is the best strategy in recruiting, right? You can't have a small board because you're not going to get everyone, and you can't take everyone. So really, we're just going to finish, updating the board, reassigning our points, scheduling visits. I like where we sit. The board is kind of expanded, obviously. We've gained some commitments. I like where the board sits now. We're in a good spot that we've added to it, kind of reorganized our points, gotten our visits scheduled, done all those things. And the best part is, boom, 4-star Cedric Ollie, guard, committed to us, done a great job there. We're in a good spot with the safety, McCormick, 3-star. So last week, obviously you see 6-1. Last week we lost. I played the game. I did horribly. I'm talking like so bad that there really wasn't anything worth sharing. And so obviously we're not ranked. I don't even know. Dropped from rankings. No, we weren't ranked last week either. Looking at the media stuff too, like Still receiving votes, which is good. But yeah, we were in a bad spot this week. I mean, it was really bad. I don't know what happened. I couldn't get anything going on offense. All the problems that were going on defense, worse in that game. So we're just going to chalk up the loss, moving on to next week. Obviously, I wanted the perfect season. I wanted to take Liberty into the playoffs, which is still possible, but obviously any loss hurts. So we can't afford to lose from here on out. It would really just devastate us. So just looking at some of these awards here, I am surprised that we're not in the running for more of them, especially at DB. I mean, we've had multiple guys with multiple interceptions. We got Quentin Cooley, who's third in the Doak Walker, which is to be expected. He's having a great year. The receiver one doesn't, the Blindikoff doesn't really surprise me all that much. Same with Lombardi. I mean, we've had good players there, but we haven't had dominant players there. No K Salt on the Unitas Award is just crazy and criminal to me, but whatever. Obviously, I'm going to be a little biased. Best interior lineman, same thing on both sides of the ball, lineman, and even tight end. We've got good players there. We don't really have difference makers. The fact that we don't have either head coach or Broyles Award nominees is crazy to me with the work that we've done, but whatever. We've got good linebackers. Remington, again, like I mentioned about the offensive line. Lou Groza, I mean, I haven't kicked too many field goals, and I'm certainly not going to punt, so the Ray Guy Award's not coming. I don't think it's coming here. Don't really return it much, so it is pretty crazy that Cooley was the only one that we have, but it is what it is, long season, 7 games in. Looking at these early bowl projections, looks like we're going to get the New Orleans Bowl right now against Georgia Southern, but obviously we'd like to get into the playoffs. So just kind of moving ahead to recruiting again. This is obviously kind of the focus of the video. I like this kid right here, Baldonado, 4-star with the gem and the jewel. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think you're at the point now to where we've added to the board. We've secured some commitments. Obviously, we lose out on him. In a perfect world, you would just find a replacement out there for the guys that you lost out on, somewhere else that's not committed, or somewhere else, obviously that you can still recruit and try to flip or sway. So this guy's really close to committing. Obviously, you can see his meters practically full. Love to secure this win, get another big bodyguard, especially 4-star trending 205. So I mean, that's kind of the thought in real world recruiting too, right? You lose out on one of your corners or one of your guards, whoever it is, and you just replace him with the next guy up. Again, it gets to the point, too, where you don't want to just sign a guy just to sign a guy. Now, if you're in desperate need of a high school kid, you would probably still recruit and take somebody that may be below the line of what you're willing to recruit from a standard standpoint. But that's where the portal comes into effect, too, which obviously we haven't gotten there yet. But, that's where the portal kind of comes into play, because if you don't get one of the high school, or one of the 2 or 3 even high school kids, depending on which position it is, if you don't get those guys, there is an opportunity to turn to the portal and even the JUCO ranks too, which is a little more prevalent than the game. In the game, obviously, they're kind of just they're lumped in together, but you really have kind of 3 phases or 3 different groups, styles of recruiting between high school, JUCO, and the portal. So if you were to miss out on some of those guys, you could just turn to either JUCO or portal. Obviously, portal would be a little more preferable because you have the opportunity to get 3 or 4 year guys, right? Which is what high school kids essentially are. They're 5 to play 4, so it's a little bit different. Obviously, you might sacrifice a season or 2, but at the end of the day, they're still multi-year kids with developmental potential, right? So something to be kind of cognizant of, and it's always a good reminder of kind of where you're going to draw the line of demarcation, right? At each position, that's one of the things that we always do at every school, at every spot. Okay, where's the cutoff point? Here's our list, here's our group of corners, receivers, tight ends. If we get below this point, if we get to this point, we don't want to, there's nothing really below this point that is worth us taking, because we just don't see it making us better. So it kind of it depends. Again, each program, each room, you're going to hear me say that a lot. It is a recurring theme, but it's the reality of it too. It just kind of depends on what your goals and your thoughts are. Obviously, you'll have your own attrition, some of which you planned for, some of which you didn't plan for. So you kind of have to keep an open mind, and you really have to anticipate a lot of that stuff too. We're 7 games in the dynasties here. So, in 7 games in real world football, you would have an idea of, start to have an idea really of who may leave, who may want to leave, who you may want to push out, things of that nature. And you can kind of use it to structure your recruiting basis and standpoint from there. But going to wrap this up and move on to our next game. We've got Jacksonville State, which again, in real life would be a pretty good game. I mean, Jack State, they've really developed that program. And the stuff that Rich Rod's done has been awesome. I mean, they've had power forward players on their roster. I think the returns on investment were evident in his time there. And yeah, this will be a good one. I'm excited. Obviously, come back off a loss, 6-1. Need a win in a big, big way. You're at home. Guarantee Williamson will be packed out. Fans, students going crazy. probably a night game. And just an opportunity to get a big dub. So I'm going to start out here on defense. They get motion to the field, and we just can't cover. I mean, they got us. They out-schemed us. They flooded it. They flooded with the post, the wheel, the swing. Corner ran with the post, and again, opened up the wheel right behind it. We were nowhere to be found. Couldn't defend it. It is what it is. We're going to run an option here. I mean, this is just totally a Mickey Mouse. And only in the game, right? With this kind of pitch, make a move, turn up the sideline, obviously, run it, hugged it a little too close, caused him to hesitate and kind of readjust, slowed him down. But we're going to pull it. I love it, man. The slice, the arc, all that stuff. Probably need to start incorporating a lot of that and throw it off it. We're going to get Fitch here to the field, right? So it's just fade hitch. So the slot's going to run the fade. Outside receiver runs the hitch. And again, put it up there. One-on-one coverage. We'll take that every time. Kind of 14 unanswered points, quick turnaround. Jump the ball here. I mean, great play on the ball. Just super reactive and instinctive. Get us some great field position. We're going to throw it, which has mixed results. Again, we drop it, go for it on fourth down. Awesome opportunity that we just squandered. Offer turnover to get points, and he is wide open. I could have hit this throw. So I don't know. More coverage busts than usual to start the game, which is not good because we already have a lot of issues on defense. But again, we've had success doing this all year. So anytime we can come out with a vertical and just beat man coverage, beat press, uncover down the field, go up 21-14, lots of points in the first quarter. Can't tackle there, can't tackle there, can't tackle there, can't tackle there. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So we're just going to have to live with it. The good thing is that, we know what the issues are. We know that we can score points, which is what we're going to have to do. Going to run smash here to the field. Great timing, right? Corner's going to squat on the curl. We're going to run the corner behind it. This is a long field goal. I really did not think he was going to make it. But, of course, we get roughing the kicker, make it a lot shorter. It's just what we do. Again, I hate it. I hate that we have no control on some of this stuff. And honestly, some of this stuff they do on their own. Like, I've tried to not block it, and he'll still run into the kicker just on his own computer. And just missed that. Again, wide open, corner, back of the end zone. So some real issues that we have here. But we're going to go back to all reliable. We're going to run the seam splitter, split the two high safeties, got enough speed, put it on them. Great opportunity to score, take the lead, especially as we're trying to go into half. But we just give it right back. Awful angle from the safety. That might have been BG. That's on me, BG. Got Quentin Reese trying to catch him, chase him down. Can't do it. So these are issues, man. I mean, it's been well documented. And again, we couldn't do anything on offense. We squandered another opportunity. Just bad break on the ball. The no defense from either side, really, in this half. Trying to get it in, trying to get points, call a timeout. Field goal kicking has been my nemesis. I can't do it. I've really struggled with it. But we're in the middle of the field. We're at home. Surely we can get 3 points, put it on the board, split it right down the middle. So go in, down 4. Not terrible. We get the ball to start, go down the field. 2nd and 1. I don't really love this look, but we have it. So we're just going to run it. And I think they were out leverage. They're playing outside leverage. We're just going to run the breaking stuff when they clear out from number 1 to the field there. We're just going to stretch them vertically again. We're going to take this all day. I mean, catch and run, can't defend it. Just can't cover it. But here we go. We're on defense again, and guess what? They scored. So this one's going to come down to the wire. I just know it. I love kind of the crisscross action here. I think the defense, they have a really tough time defending that and responding to it. We got 2-on-1 down here. I don't know what that guy is doing. Awful angle to the ball, swing and a miss. We don't have a lot of pursuit speed, really, it seems like. I mean, they've had multiple receivers running away from our DBs after the catch, so that's going to have to be a real emphasis in recruiting, which I'm sure I haven't really paid much attention to, but K-Salt, tough runner here. We got 4th down. I mean, we're going to kick a field goal because, I don't know. I don't know why, but we're just going to try it, and of course we're going to leave it short. I mean, that's been my worst nemesis. Perfect opportunity to come back for them, right? Drive down the field, 39 seconds left. We can't cover, can't do anything. But we have our own opportunities here now, too. We've got 1 timeout, 9 seconds left. I love A coming open right there, number 3 from the field. I mean, that's a tough route to defend. In a perfect world, you'd go for 2, I think. But, kick the extra point, be safe. Why not, In a perfect video game world, maybe not real football. That would be very questionable. It would be a tough thing to defend. But, yeah, they just ran out of time. I mean, just didn't have an opportunity to really answer and drive down the field like they've been able to. So, I mean, we went into this game knowing that it was going to be a good one, right? You mentioned that. Lots of points, again. I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'll probably continue saying it. If you like offensive football, you like points, then you have come to the right channel, because I can do only one thing, and that is play offense. But another big-time commit, man. Ronaldo was somebody I really, really wanted. That was a huge point of emphasis for us. K-Salt right there, man. Player of the week, 8 touchdowns, no picks. That's the biggest thing. I threw for 586 yards, 8 touchdowns, and scored 8 touchdowns. Somehow did not throw a pick. That's usually been my arch nemesis too. 7-1, playing 2-7 MTSU. I don't really anticipate having many problems there, but I mean, again, just kind of checking in with recruiting. And we're closing in on McCormack. He's obviously closing in on a decision soon. I feel like we're in a good spot with where our points are with him and most of these guys for the most part. I think we have an opportunity to add to, a lot of these different guys, so we might as well, don't want to leave any points just kind of sitting around. Doesn't make any sense not to use them while you have them. Some 2-stars, obviously, he's a bust, 3-star to a 2-star, but it's good to recruit him and just have him just in case, because, again, like, even if we miss on some of these other guys, we may be in a position to sign 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of our second-tier options, third-tier options, depending on where we are. When we're looking at the numbers, I felt like we were over on some positions. We'll see. I don't know what the cut process looks like in the game and moving people on, so we'll kind of see what that looks like towards the end of the year once we get to that point, and that'll kind of help us prepare for year 2. Year 1's just trial and fire, trial by fire, kind of test running. A lot of this stuff, seeing what works, what doesn't work. We're at Liberty. We have our disadvantages, and I know we're not going to sign the number 1 class in the country. So, and I know we're going to be portal heavy too. I mean, it's going to be like real life, I think, in that regard too. You have an opportunity to get some really talented players out of the portal. So we're going to try to secure those guys and really wrap up this high school recruiting here as we go. It's week 9 or week 10 of the season. So it's coming to a close here. I don't anticipate the board changing much. I think it kind of sets and solidifies, towards the end of the year, right? The guys that you're signing that are firm in their commitment, right? There are a handful of those guys. I wouldn't say that your full recruiting class or your full class of kids that are committed to, I wouldn't say that you ever feel 100% about all of them. Some of them in a perfect world, you would feel 100% about 100% of them, but some guys waver, right? And especially being at Auburn, you kind of saw that firsthand. Like, it wouldn't be uncommon for Florida or some of those other SEC or Ohio State, Big Ten schools to come in and try to flip them at the last second. You're going to have to hold on to those guys for dear life. So ultimately, we won't have to worry about that too much at Liberty. We're in a pretty good spot, both record-wise, recruiting-wise. I don't think anyone's really going to try to come in and overtake us there. But we're going to wrap this thing up here and just really advance to the next week. Because, as I mentioned, I don't really think we have to play MTSU. They're 2-7. And boom, big 3-star commitment from McCormack. I mentioned him being close, really closing in on his decision, was at his top 3. We were in a great spot there. But we lose out on Irving, which kind of sucks. But we have 2 running backs committed to us already, so really wasn't much of a need to pursue him very hard. Julian Gray, Conference USA Player of the Week offensively, which is a good sign. Obviously, boom, get the win. So anytime you don't have to play, that's always a huge benefit. You feel confident in your team. 2 touchdown win, 42-28. That's probably on par with what would have happened if we would have played. I would have given up a lot of points, but been able to score more. So sitting at 8-1, week 12, looking at these bowl projections again, looking at the New Mexico Bowl versus Utah State, which not a much better destination, not a much better bowl and opponent. We'd like to get into that playoff, but it is what it is. We're going to hop into recruiting again. This, as you can tell, we're really, really, really narrowing it down. We've got about 8 guys left that we're trying to sign. Otherwise, we've got our guys committed. Just looking at this board, seeing what else is out there. I mean, you just never know. Like I said, you don't anticipate it really changing too much later on in the process. But if you got a guy out there that's a good player that you can add, try to recruit and commit, yeah, I mean, not going to say no to good players. So we'll check out Tap. I mean, he was a 3-star, again, kind of a bust that, relegates him back down to a 2. But he's an athlete, so, if we're going to bet on someone, let's bet on versatility and an opportunity to see kind of where he develops and how he develops. We don't have a whole lot of points left, so we're going to try to be as strategic as possible and really just close in. I mean, we're at week 12, and some of these guys are still at top 8, which is kind of crazy to me. But if anything, that just kind of tells you that they're going to take it, they'll probably just take it down to signing day and go from there. We're running out of visits because we're running out of home games. We've already played 9 games total. I don't know how many more home games we have, but it's at least 2, I would bet, or it's at least 1, no more than 3. So we'll see what happens. Just going to try to wrap this up here, assign these last few points, move things along. I mean, Khalid is at his top 5, so he's moving along. This guy right here, Cook, I mean, he's closing in on his top 3, 1-star guy. We're in a good spot there. We got to add points. Just got to finish strong, close it out, and get the guys that you want to get, and we'll just kind of move on from here. And we've got UMass up next at 5-4. Probably should play it, but I'm not going to. It's going to take a chance. And look at that. Dalvin Cook, elite name. 1-star linebacker, commits to the Flames. We're still in a really good spot with some of these other guys. It's big time to secure commitment. Just keep building this class, even as a 1-star. I mean, Julian Gray went off. So if we scored that many points, I mean, he scored 5 touchdowns. If we scored that many points, I'd like to think that we won. Conference Player of the Week, National Player of the Week, 9 catches, 180 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's huge. And sure enough, 9-1, ranked number 24. We're back in the rankings this week, so that's huge. So let's check out the schedule here. I'd be curious to see kind of what the final score was at Kennesaw State game. I mean, that was rough. That's been the only blemish so far. But so we beat UMass by 13, scored a lot of points. There's no doubt. K-Salt with 7 tutties. That is nuts. Cooley, those guys did their thing. Obviously, Julian Gray went off. Receivers kind of helped out across the board, but big day for those two, man. I mean, 5 touchdowns. Cooley had 70 yards on the ground. Defense was getting after it. Not quite, up to standard, even though our standard is very low considering how many points we've given up this year. Obviously, a lot of that user driven, but it is what it is. We won the game, scored more points than the other team. That's all that matters. So, looking at some of these rankings here, we're gonna have to get past Tulane if we want to get that playoff spot. We're going to have to make some moves in the rankings for sure. So it's kind of tough. We're going to need some help from them to lose. Obviously, we're going to have to win out along the way. Looking at the Heisman watch, obviously, K-Salt is finally back in the rankings. That's huge. I mean, scored 7 touchdowns last week. That's going to do it. He's had a good year all year. I mean, he deserves to be a finalist. Still in the New Mexico Bowl with these bowl projections. Again, I mean, if we're going to make the playoff, a lot of that's going to come down to how us and Tulane kind of finish the year and how the rest of the rankings shake out. It's going to be a huge part of it. But, I mean, looking at K-Salt's numbers, 46 touchdowns to 9 picks, nearly 3,000 yards, completing 63% of his passes. We'll have a conference championship game to play as well. So that'll be huge. He'll have a chance to have some pretty big stat sheet. Obviously, Quentin Cooley, 1,200 yards. That guy's guaranteed 1K. I mean, he does it in real life, does in the video game, there's no doubt. Julian Gray and Trayon obviously having big years. Dante Lee, Mobley, the tight ends have gotten involved. So that's huge. I mean, defensively, obviously, statistically, has not been our best year, but we have some pretty good individual performances. Body's got 5 sacks. Handful of guys have picks. Quentin Reese, 5 picks. I mean, I don't know how that guy's not up for all those defensive awards in the country, but so that's kind of the statistical breakdown. Coming towards the end of the year here, now that we're 10 games in, week 13, so. We're going to check out recruiting. Not really much going on. Obviously, we've got a big board built out already. A lot of guys have committed, either to us or elsewhere. Obviously, we've secured a handful of commitments that we feel really good about. So kind of just, again, updating points, scheduling last week visits per se, and just adding these points. So don't really need to go through the whole gamut of this. Obviously, you guys kind of know the drill. Nothing really special going on here other than just some housekeeping items. So we're going to jump ahead and play this game. Obviously, this is a big one with Western Kentucky, 6-4. Got to play it. They're going to be talented on both sides of the ball. Obviously, we've got the overall advantage. Really offense, defense advantage too. But we got to play this one. 9-1. Still have a chance. Again, we're still in the thick of this thing. We're still in the hunt. Obviously, like I've mentioned multiple times already, we're going to need some help from the teams ahead of us. But you got to win out. That's pretty sick that you can see their breath too. I mean, and it does get that cold. It does get that cold that time of year in Lynchburg. That mid to late November, man. I'll tell you what. Coming from California, that was a big adjustment. You're gonna see a lot of long sleeves bundled up. So, let's get into it. Looking at here, obviously, giving up already in the red zone, right? Giving up touchdowns. We can't tackle every video. At least we're consistent, even if it is bad. But respond with a drive of our own, some points of our own, some hard running there by Cooley. I mean, that guy's a tough dude to bring down. So we'll give it to him every time. I mean, short yardage situations, it just makes way too much sense. But coming off the play action, can't do anything. Heck of a throw and catch. Kind of a hospital ball, but guy caught it. Makes a great play. Great blocking up front by our guys. A chance to respond and tie the game up. So I just know that we're going to continue to give up points. I mean, I don't even know why I bother anymore. But again, quarterback, this guy's Michael Vick. So obviously just a great angle by the safety. Totally undercuts it. Takes his own guy out. yeah, that's kind of the stuff we're dealing with. Haven't tackled all year. Why would we start now? But best part about it is we have an explosive offense of our own. Those guys are really paving the way up front. Of course, we respond by giving up another touchdown, giving up more points. It is what it is. But I like what we're going to do down here in the red zone. At the 1, really, we should run it, but we've got 1st and goal. I like the look that we're getting here and the opportunity that I had to kind of create some space. They're going to bring some pressure. We're going to get the ball off. Again, it's going to open up the middle of the field, right? Just blitz and replace. So if they're going to bring pressure, we're just going to throw into it. Do a great job there. Our guy comes down with the catch. Kick the extra point, down by 1. Great play. I mean, this is just a great play. Look at that. Corey Jones, man, crib 6, defensive scores. I mean, that's been a huge theme for us, too. For as bad as we have been on defense, tried to get a little too cute there and almost gave it away. But for as bad as we've been on defense, we've scored a lot of points from defense and special teams. Great kick here by this dude. I did not think he was going to make that. We've got ourselves a ball game here, but obviously we have a lot of the momentum. They haven't stopped a lot of this, a lot of our zone runs. There's so much room to run. And Cooley's a beast. I mean, he's a tough guy to tackle, obviously. We're going to try to go for 2 here. I don't know. I kind of want to. There's really no need to. This is not really the smartest decision. But, again, we're going to try to get into this twins look. Got the slant flat to our left. Going to try to play around with some of these stems and these outs. As much as I do like the slant flat, I usually like the slant out route combination. He just ran too short. I mean, I can't even speak on this tackle. I can't even finish my sentence. It is what it is. That's been a common theme. Like I said, we haven't tackled all year. Why would we start now? Potentially a huge problem for us if we're going to get into the postseason. But again, we can do this. We've got K-Salt kind of elude, escape, kind of create on his own. I love it. We respond. Ooh, that was a little close. I don't know if we had some replay, if that would give it to us, but again, just, common theme here. All of the games look the same, man. It's giving up big plays through the air, on the ground, can't tackle. So this was going to come down to the wire too. I mean, this is probably going to be 50-plus points from both teams. This is not a good idea. But I guess, if we're going to complain about their guy breaking the tackle, we're going to do the same. Awful idea. But it is a video game, so we're going to get away with it. And listen, don't go. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Go with the guy that got you there. We'll come off the edge. We almost blocked it. Again, this kicker's pretty good. I mean, he's made some kicks I did not think that he would make. But, again, awful throw, awful decision there, just lurking underneath in the underneath zone. And, man, that was a huge play. We needed that. But, never a doubt. I knew if we had the ball last, we would have an opportunity to come away with a win. So that was a huge way to finish it out. Cooley, 5 touchdowns, 29 carries, 169 yards. I mean, bro's doing his thing. So moving ahead, we secured another commitment from a 1-star defensive tackle, which is big. Again, to Corey Jones, man, that pick 6 was huge. It's huge. I mean, that turned the momentum around of the game. There's no doubt. So we got the Conference Players of the Week, National Player of the Week with Cooley. And again, just looking into some more recruiting, obviously, we're really coming down to the wire. So this is kind of an interesting part, obviously, of it where, you have only a handful of guys you're continuing to recruit and you have a lot of points at your disposal, so you're really just trying to max it out. You could continue to add to the board if you wanted to, if there was somebody else that you felt really convicted about and you just felt like they were going to make your team better and there was an opportunity, to add them from a numbers standpoint, but kind of the same stuff that we've been doing. We're going to close this out, continue adding our points, and just kind of move on to the next part of this. And our next game, I think it's our last one of the season. Yeah, we're 10-1. Our last game of the season is against a potential rematch in the conference championship game with Sam Houston State. They're 8-3. We're 10-1. This is going to be a tough one on paper, at least. You look at the ratings there. We are obviously we've been the superior team, to the conference throughout the season. So not really too worried about that. But man, this team is a scrappy bunch. I'll tell you what, we played them in real life too during my time at Houston. And, they did some things that really frustrate you and irritate you because you knew you had better players, but they did some good stuff. They were well coached, played hard, competed. That's a great run, great start, get down the field. We've actually played a little bit better on defense to start the game. We've ran the ball at will. The way that our front is creating movement and opportunities for our backs. Again, we're going to get this seam runner down the field. And, just a heck of a catch. Not a great throw, obviously. Receiver kind of bailed us out. But I like this opportunity that we have to kind of get some points on the board before we get into halftime and really just have a commanding lead. They can't really cover the verts. They haven't left the middle of the field. They haven't covered it all game. So we're going to continue to attack it there. Obviously, we scored probably a little too fast than I would have liked, but again, quarterback's going to put the ball up, and we're going to make a play, right? Tips and overthrows. My boy BG comes down with it. Man, I've been waiting on this one all year. We've played a lot of games with Liberty and haven't been able to get one with him, but shout out Brylan, man. Secures it, gives us an opportunity. I love this kind of trail-follow concept near the goal line. Kind of stretches the defense out, gives us an opportunity to kind of find some points. That was an awful throw. Again, that's one of those throws where if you're playing on Heisman or All-American or Heisman, it probably gets picked off, but varsity bails us out a little bit. So definitely an easy game. Quarterback's making it easy for us. Obviously, he's giving us plenty of opportunities here. 4th and goal. I'm trying to get this 50 burger. I'm trying to run up the score. I'm just being honest, but got a little RPO action. Turnover on downs, not the best play call. Again, 2 times we went down there, ran it at will, and that's kind of what we get. Should have ran the ball, handed it off, and just try to get out of there, give up a touchdown as they go down the field and kind of march. But we're going to, we're going to have an opportunity here to score, attack in the middle of the field. They haven't stopped the seams all day, so huge opportunity here to get 50 points. I know this is stupid, but, look at how much space we have. So, commanding win. That was a really good team. I was nervous about that one going in, just seeing their record and even knowing what the ratings were. The record obviously speaks for itself. They win games, they find a way. So, man, Cooley almost averaging 10 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Would not be surprised if he were the conference player of the week. But get another commitment, man, 1 star. I know we're building this thing up, and there it is. Like I mentioned, I had a feeling it would probably be a rematch a week later between these guys. But 11-1, number 21, sitting in a good spot. We're going to have an opportunity here to win the conference championship, compete for it, and hopefully get the spot in the playoff. But again, just looking at the board, obviously you see a lot of 65 points, 50 points, 65. It kind of just is what it is at this point. You'd like to see who else is out there. Kicker and a fullback have interest in us, but I'm not recruiting those 2 positions. But yeah, we're in a good spot recruiting-wise. We're going to have one of the best classes in Conference USA. Obviously, winning is a huge part of that, and makes things a lot easier, that's for sure. But we're just going to kind of take care of some housekeeping things, kind of add these last points before we get to the end of the season, before we get to signing day, and really try to close this thing out. I see this Bucky, who was that? Brendan Irving. I almost say Bucky Irving. Brendan Irving. I know he's been on the board for a while, committed to Coastal, finally took him off. But this has been a good season. Just kind of like looking at these rankings here again. We're still going to need some help. We're still climbing. Miami, Ohio, they've jumped up there 17. Obviously, I thought we were going to be able to get past Tulane, but now it's going to come down to Miami of Ohio. So we'll see what happens. Again, going to need some help from those guys up front. But K-Salt climbing up the rankings in the Heisman watch. I don't know if he's going to get it. Some other really talented names on that list, but he is having a great year. It is going to be hard to say no to him. Now, this one is where I'm going to be most interested to see. So obviously, K-Salt, Julian Gray, Player of the Year. I don't know how Cooley's not on there. Obviously, I'm head coach of the year right now. Should be. It makes way too much sense. K-Salt sitting as the 2nd best quarterback behind Milrose. So, those guys are obviously, some of those guys are in the Heisman race themselves. So, understandable. Again, best DB, I don't know how we're not on there. We have a guy with 5 interceptions. Cooley is somehow the best running back, but he's not in the best player of the year watch. I don't understand that. But again, there's Julian Gray. I don't know if he's going to win the best receiver award. He's got some ground to make up, but John Unitas, Golden Arm, no sign of K-Salt, even though he's a Heisman contender. But it is what it is. If he can bring home the biggest trophy, that would be the best part of it. But yeah, tight ends. I don't know how our DC is the leading candidate for the Cardinals Award when his hot seat meter is way up that high, and it should be, based on how many points and yards and how poorly I've played. But it is what it is, man. It's just funny stuff. Punters, yeah, I'm not going to punt. Return award, obviously, Julian Gray's done a good job there. Real life, too. That's his, that's kind of what he did well at NC State. So, interesting to see where those guys all stand as we're about to close this thing out. But bowl projections, they keep moving up. That's funny because obviously Liberty played in the Bahamas Bowl this year in real life. So, that'd be a pretty good game, too. Two usually pretty good offenses. But let's get into this conference championship game, man. I'm ready to get after it. I'm really ready to see Miami of Ohio lose and see us bump up and try to get this dub. And, let's get into the tournament and see what happens. All right, we come out here with a pretty good drive to start the game. We're going to run the smash into the boundary. I don't really love the throw, love the idea because the safety's capping and topping. He's topping the seam route, but I don't even know what to make of that. Easiest way to squander a 14-point lead by just awful tackling. We've traded possessions, gone back and forth. Obviously, the best thing that we've done all year is play offense and score points. So another huge opportunity there off the play action, kind of a 3-level read that we haven't really run all year, but it's been really good. Love this play, man. Undercut the route. Hills had one of these earlier in the year too, man. Really instinctive, take it all the way back. I can't get over how cold it is with that breath, man. Oh my gosh. But yeah, again, huge opportunity. I mean, this is probably the best game. I say that up until this point right here, but this is probably the best game we've played, best half of football we've played, 42-14 in the conference championship game against a good team. I mean, we're just on point. K-Salt ain't missing these, man. I mean, these are layups for him at this point. We're going to get this, run it to the field side, his non-dominant side, which I don't love, and that's kind of what happens when you run that away from his dominant side. But again, if we can hold him to a field goal here, I mean, that's a huge opportunity. But no, we decided to run into the kicker because we're undisciplined and so much dumb stuff. Again, that's how you squander a lead, but we'll get back into it. We'll try to fix some of those things, get them right. Come off the ball, yeah, I mean, I would pull it out the back door too and walk right into the end zone. So we're driving, though. We got a chance to tie it up and answer. Not tie it up, but to answer and, respond with a score of our own. The good thing is we've built a pretty comfortable lead. That's a good way to throw right there. I mean, you throw it away from the post safety, give your guy a chance. Should have just ran the ball and run the clock out, but I want to score points. 2 pick sixes. I mean, it's going to be really hard to lose games with 2 pick sixes. Love the celebration there from Dominic Hill. That guy's been a pick six machine. We have all these interceptions. Heisman pose, I love it. We have all these interceptions, and yet we have no DBs in the running for best DB award. I mean, I don't understand that. I think that's Mo. Again, that one, that'll pretty much seal it. If we can get 70 on the board, I'm going to be pumped. A great run by Cooley, great cut. That was awful defensive effort by that guy trying to fill. So it is what it is. Should have gone for 2, didn't. They're going to get us with this screen because, of course, can't get off blocks and can't tackle. Maybe we're just so contact challenged, but I hate that we gave up 35 points just based on how we played on offense and the opportunities that we had. I love that rub. There's that rub concept. They can't cover that. But yeah, we played so well on offense. I mean, 40-point win, 75-35. That's a huge finish in a conference championship game and things you love to see. So we'll see what happens after this week. Look, K-Salt, 72%, 5 touchdowns, 361. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week. Obviously, like I said, we're going to need some help from those above us. And if we want to get into the tournament, I don't even know what kind of shot we'd have or who we'd play, but it'll be interesting to see. So obviously, great season, great finish to the kind of the regular season. Hoist the trophy. This is a pretty cool trophy too, Conference USA. So not a very strong conference. The competition level was not very good this year. And playing up varsity helps, but got a 3-star receiver commit. We'll take that all day. I mean, those 3 stars, you can build a pretty good roster with a handful of those guys. So really excited to see that. Dominic Hill, 2 picks, both of them went for touchdowns. Should be the National Defensive Player of the Year or week. Yeah, there you go. So, great effort by him. K-Salt or Cooley should be one of them. I would have thought to give it to K-Salt, but I'm not going to complain. Cooley did have look at that. There we go. Coach of the Year. I love it. Coach of the Year. I'm sure one of the Broyles. Yeah, our defensive coordinator winning the Broyles Award is actually hilarious. That's actually that one makes me laugh. But Milroe wins the Heisman. Unfortunately, it wasn't our guy. Kind of a shame. It is what it is. Best running back award, no doubt. You look at the production, I don't think there was much of a doubt there. Yeah, so exactly. He went from, not ranked to winning the award with 5 picks, and he had 3 of them, returned for touchdowns. So, and we're in the playoff. Let's go. But we got to play Georgia. We know what those challenges are going to be. I don't even know how. My first thought is on defense that we may give up 100 points, but we'll see what happens. The good thing is I think we're capable of scoring 100 plus 2. We have some P5 opportunities to be coordinators. I'm not really going to take any of those. It doesn't really excite me. I'd rather stay and be the head coach here because we can make the playoff, do some good things. Thankfully, we don't have to worry about recruiting anymore. Obviously, we lose out in Clawson to West Virginia. We're going to close out with these guys and their points on there and just kind of see what happens. I think we've signed a good class. I like the guys that we have. Obviously, we're going to be pretty we'll be involved in the portal. I want to say we'll be pretty heavy, but we'll be involved in the portal. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we've got some young guys on the roster too that are going to be worth developing. When you sign a lot of 1, 2, and 3 stars, you're going to be down here in the rankings a little bit. I didn't think we'd be this far, but 93rd, it is what it is. The rankings can't get too caught up in them. Obviously, they're usually a pretty decent indicator of where you are from a recruiting standpoint, but it's all right. It's a building process. It's year one. I'm excited to play Georgia in the playoff for whatever that's worth. I have no idea of how this game is going to go. Obviously, the best team that we've played all year, they're going to be rocking, man. I mean, we don't have any dudes that look like those dudes on our team, so it'd be interesting to see, get a little taste of the SEC, kind of just see what happens. But great atmosphere. I do like how the playoff games are on the home campus. I think that's a really unique aspect. And I think it makes for a great game. I think we kind of saw it this year in the first iteration of the 12-round or the 12-team playoffs. So I can't even imagine how much that thing is rocking, man. It looks crazy, but yeah, we're gonna get this opening possession. I mean, there's a lot of room to run now. Cooley I was gonna say in the real world, he's not gonna run away and pull away from these dudes. I think that's Mondal number 2. He would hawk him down without much of an issue, but. We're going to try to get some RPO and play action. I don't know how well we're going to be able to block these dudes, but if we can get them like that with quick throws, quick decisions, this will be interesting to see how we do. If we can get some pressure on back like that, force them into 4th and longs, we'll have a good opportunity there. 4th and goal from 27, so force them into a kick. Again, if you can force 3 and not give up touchdowns, not give up the explosives and the big plays, you'll be just fine. So we're going to have a chance here to respond. Kind of answer back. Obviously, if we can not commit a penalty, that'd be great. So, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take that all day. But yeah, we get a chance now too. We haven't run a lot of the condensed formations, but I think it's a good chance to kind of make their lives a little bit difficult. I have no idea why or how I did that, but it worked. I mean, the guy was open, and we made a play. It's going to take some stuff like that. So we're going to get kind of this bender route, overthrow it. Really wasn't the best decision anyway, and we can kind of see why. I mean, we don't have anyone that can run like that. I mean, K-Salt's going to do his best to track him down, but no, there's no one on our team that can match stride and speed with Malachi Starks, unfortunately. So, not the best guy to throw it to, but again, I mean, if they're going to part like the Red Sea, we'll take that all day. And there needs to be some more of that. We've run the ball well all year, whether it's Cooley, whether it's K-Salt, any of those guys, Billy Lucas. But again, yeah, get pressure on Beck, force some sacks, get them in the 4th and long situations, give the ball back. I mean, they're going to press us and give us an opportunity, but we just cannot block these dudes. I don't know how we got that ball off and how we caught that. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So we'll take it. Again, got another red zone opportunity here. So much space, man. Just tuck it and go. Too much speed to the edge. Too much space. Been a pretty back and forth game. Obviously, the defenses, we've played a little bit better than we have. We haven't seen a lot of that all year. Bad angle, though. Oscar Delp is obviously a really good tight end, so anytime you get him the ball, he's going to have an opportunity to do something with it. They're going to go for 2, and of course, we just got a guy sitting wide open in the end zone. So, but we got a chance to kind of respond with our own points, get down here, extend the lead later into the game. Did a good job on defense. We're going to hold him to this long field goal. I was hoping we'd have a chance to return that, but he made it, of course. 4th and 9, bad situation to be in, but hey, again, if they're going to give us this space and this opportunity, we'll take it all day. A lot of bit gutsy, 4th and 9, only a 1-possession lead. So I'd like to think that we've put it away and that we have an opportunity, but of course not, because why would we? This is our Broyles Award winner somehow. Giving up this much space and opportunity, but we recover the onside kick. I'm not going to be stupid this time, or maybe I will. I don't know. We'll kind of play it by ear. Any opportunity you get to kind of run up the score in Georgia, I think you got to take it. And again, they're just giving us space, so why not? We'll take a timeout. We're going to use them. We'll just run 4 verts again. I mean, I don't know how well they're really going to cover it or be prepared for it. So we've had space all day, and again, they're just going to leave the middle of the field. I mean, I don't know what they're doing with their second-level defense, but we'll take that at a timeout. So if we want to score, we're going to have to hurry and do something. I don't really love, obviously, the look that we had. But if they're going to play that far off, we'll take that all day. So, big win. Go on the road and beat a great Georgia team. Obviously, in real life, probably not happening. But, man, a great effort. Those games are always a lot of fun, too, because you get kind of a better opportunity, obviously. It goes from playing Sam Houston State and Western Kentucky to playing Georgia, so it's a little bit more competitive, kind of some more chess match and some more strategy involved. But good game. Excited to see who we get next. I don't know how long we'll be able to make this run last, but man, to go on the road and beat, like I said, beat Georgia. Look at those guys, man, fired up. I love it. So great opportunity for the program. I mean, that's huge. Those type of games change a program forever. So we got North Carolina in the Peach Bowl. I've played North Carolina before. They do a lot of stuff on offense. It's like super stressful. That's super hard to defend. So we'll see what happens here. Just looking at the job offers, obviously you got an opportunity to go to Louisville. Miami had a great year, but OC, I'm not doing that. Memphis head coach, no. Florida State offense coordinator, no. So it's always fun to see those things. I'd like to stay at Liberty for a longer time if I can, but we'll see what happens. You never know. Never say never. But looking at this bracket here, obviously, kind of some usual heavy hitters, with Oregon, really Alabama, Michigan. I mean, Boston College, kind of a surprise one, They've had a pretty good year. And, Kentucky, you don't really, obviously, with some of the years that they've had in the past, you wouldn't expect a playoff team. So, man, it's been interesting. Obviously, K-Saul and Quinn Cooley, first-team All-Americans. That makes way too much sense. Those guys were two of the best players in the country, regardless of position. Julian Gray, second team, with what he did as a returner and receiver, totally get it. He's made a ton of contributions across the board. Freshman-wise, this is a pretty good list, in general, in terms of like real-life football. There's a lot of good players on this list, but yeah, we didn't really have any like dynamite freshmen, so no, I don't want to quit. So let's get into this Peach Bowl. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't feel good about it, even though their ratings are a little bit worse than Georgia's. I don't feel great about it because of the stuff that they do on offense and obviously how bad we've been on defense. That's my concern, because we haven't gotten into, aside from when we played Kennesaw State, we haven't gotten into a hole and had to like dig ourselves out, by playing really good on offense. So we'll see what happens. Elite matchup, elite setting here. We had some recruiting battles against UNC when we were there too. Lost more than you won, but it's always fun to go up against those guys. And we'll see what happens, man. This Peach Bowl is going to be a fun one. So we've had a great opening drive here. Got a chance to score some points. Second and goal from the 1. And again, you know where we're going. We're going to give it to that dude. Best running back in the country. Punch it in for us. Again, North Carolina drives right down the field. Marion Hampton. I mean, this dude, look at that spin. Get off me, son. Yeah, he's going to be a problem. We weren't able to do anything on offense. And again, when possessions are going to be, so limited, it's a huge opportunity for us to try to do something with it. And we couldn't. But, we forced the fumble. Big man scooped it up and started to do a little something with it. But 4th and 17, so that's a huge stop. I mean, that's a huge response, obviously, to give up the touchdown, not do anything to respond on offense and force him into, what is this, 59-yard kick from the left hash? I mean, I'd like to get a chance to return one of these, man, but these dudes just keep making them. I don't know how. That's probably what I need to do, is focus on a kicker. But again, this is my fear, like, if we get into a hole and we have to dig ourselves out and we're not able to, like, it's going to be over before we know it. And, we've given up a lot of points. I don't like settling for a field goal here, down 10. And somehow we doink it in. I've seen that happen at Liberty in real life, too, when I was there. So, yeah, we just can't stop the run. I mean, they do a lot of the RPO. They do some play action stuff, but obviously they're so heavy RPO and, what they can do with their timing and everything like that. So we've got a huge opportunity here with K-Saul to just pull it down. But, again, give the ball away, give up explosives, give up scoring opportunities, miss our own scoring opportunities. Those are some of the frustrating parts of it. And, they manhandled us. So at this point, let's just try to finish strong and we'll get some points on the board there. Obviously, the seam runner has been huge for us all year. Maybe a miracle, another long kick. Is this another 59-yard? So this dude made 2 59-yarders in the game from both hashes. But anyway, man, this is just some pride points here. Make the game seem a little closer than it was. But, man, hard-fought game, hard-fought season. to make it to the second round of the playoffs, obviously, and be so close as a group of 5 team. That's huge. And that score, obviously, the score really wasn't indicative of the game. Wasn't as close as it seemed, even though the score obviously didn't make it seem very close. I think we lost by 16. But, yeah, great year. Obviously, we're building something great. It'll be a good opportunity to kind of carry that momentum into the offseason. Best part, too, is, obviously in the real world, and we'll do it here in the game, too, but you can parlay that season into a pretty good portal recruiting class. It's one of those things that you can carry with you and create a conversation starter with some of these guys. So 13-2, number 14. I don't think it's the complete end of the season yet. No, it is. Yeah, Alabama and UNC in the national championship. So Alabama beat North Carolina in the national championship. Wow. So at least we lost to the team that made it all the way. We finished 14th, 13-2. I mean, you talk about a historic season. I mean, that's the type of season that can kind of catapult a program and a university into the stratosphere, really. So great year there. Obviously, it would have been nice to see K-Salt win the Heisman, but finished second. Again, a huge honor for a group of 5 player to finish second in the Heisman Trophy. And just kind of looking at the numbers and looking at the seasons they had, 4,500 yards, 61 touchdowns, only 12 picks, completed 65% of his passes. I mean, that's elite numbers. Next year we'll probably Quentin Cooley went for 2K, so a quarterback who went for 4,500 and running back that went for 2K rushing. K-Salt had 5,200 total yards, with his rushing stuff too, and 70 touchdowns. That's huge. Anytime you have a quarterback with 4,500 passing yards, a running back with 2,000 total rushing yards, I'm sure that's a record of some point. It's definitely historic. But Basil was super disruptive, 6 sacks, 18 TFLs. Again, we had multiple players with 5 interceptions. That is just crazy. So that's a good part of it. They threw it our way and we made plays. I'm not very good at returning punts and kicks. Obviously, Julian Gray had a great year as a punt returner. You probably won't see a whole lot of kick return touchdowns if you continue to watch more of my game and more of me playing. It's tough to return it, man. I don't know. It feels like it's tougher than it used to be, but nationally we stacked up pretty well, which again, makes sense. We were obviously in the running for the Heisman with K-Salt, led the country in touchdowns. 65% is certainly going to be up there. 19 picks for him. Wow. We protected the ball. Obviously, that's huge. I mean, look at Quinn, no doubt. Jake Garcia, that was like real life this year too. So, you have the nation's leading rusher. Obviously, we had some good stuff receiving wise. 17 touchdowns for Cooley. Didn't lead the country though. Donovan Edwards had 21, which is pretty interesting. So, but good year across the board for offense. The things that we're able to do, we're not going to be really able to replicate it. A lot of broken tackles for him too. I would have figured it was a higher number, but still pretty good. Receiver play was pretty good in this dynasty league. I mean, those are some big names. Julian Gray was 1,600 total yards, averaged 20 yards a catch. He was at 20 touchdowns, 23 touchdowns, led the country. So that's nuts. I mean, that's huge. Obviously playing 15 games will do that, and that's a huge opportunity that we had. So defensively, I don't know how many nation leaders we're going to have aside from maybe interceptions. We as a team, we probably led the country in interceptions. I would be shocked if we didn't. We had 3 that had 5 interceptions. We had, I think, multiple that had 3 or 2. So Avion Terrell, so you had some guys that had 6. So we got beat out there. For whatever reason, they don't list our defensive guys amongst the nation leaders. So I'm not sure why. It's kind of a weird thing. But we're going to jump ahead to players leaving. K-Salt wants to go to the league. Obviously, we have an opportunity to keep him. Bryson Jennings, he wants to leave. I'd like to keep him if we can. He's still a young pup, and we've got some guys that I think he can replace, but he wants to leave. I get it. K-Salt, in real life, you would tell him to go. Let's say, listen, man, after that season, you have to go. We're going to try to keep him, but it makes sense that he wants to go. So, again, we're going to lose some talented players to graduation. We'll have to fill those needs in the portal. So let's dive in and check it out, see what we got going on. Check out some of the players who we have available. This will be pretty exciting. This was my first go around with the portal. I'm curious to see what it looks like and how they do it. And kind of first glance, the unique thing is obviously, a lot of recognizable names from college football and just the recruiting process of Michael Allen. It was funny. I think he actually left during the season. He was one of those guys. In Dukeway, recruited a little bit at Houston, recruited his brother too. Tavy Jackson was, highly rated high school quarterback. Ty Keys, really good. I think he was a JUCO quarterback at one point. But Kamar, Missouri again. So those are some, they got some talented players in there. Some familiar names, obviously, just from being on the recruiting side in the real world. But, with the portal, we're going to have to fill some of these needs. Losing some of these guys to graduation, to the draft, however it may be. It's cool to see, obviously, our championship pedigree go up a little bit there with the playoff appearance. But so again, like looking at the needs, so we have a freshman quarterback and a sophomore quarterback. We need 3. They're carrying 5 on scholarship. Again, a lot of teams will carry 4. So we're going to need 2 older guys. That's kind of, it's kind of how it goes. You need a guy that can play and bring in 2, probably battle it out for the starting job and go from there. So 2 running backs. Obviously, fullback, not going to sign 1. We're good at receiver. We have 10 scholarship receivers, mix of old and young. It would be good to get a better veteran, kind of upgrade that room a little bit. But at tackle, we have a junior and a freshman. We'll need 2 at left tackle, 1 at right tackle. So we'll have 3 tackle spots we need to sign. Kind of the middle 3 we're good at. We could sign 2 more guards, but the emphasis is going to be tackle, and signing 3 is going to be tough. But we'll try to make it happen. Obviously, we're good at defensive end somewhat. We have younger guys, but I think that they have developmental potential. So D and D tackle, we'll try to get at least 1 at each. A difference maker, if not 2 of each. Just kind of see. We'll see who's available in the portal. Need a lot of linebackers. That's not a good number right there. We're short on linebackers for sure. At cornerbacks, we'll probably try to sign 2. Obviously we had some really talented corners. We get Mo and some of those other guys coming back. So not a huge need there. And then at safety, obviously we've got some mix of young and veteran experience. So obviously quarterback's gonna be a point of emphasis. We're gonna have to take 2. Running back, we'll probably take 2. Obviously, you see some of the younger guys are pretty highly rated, so not a huge necessity. There's only 1 bowl, so it'd be good to have a stacked room. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to carry 5 or 6. 6 kind of feels like a stretch. Kind of the same thing with tight end. We're carrying 6 already. Don't need any there. 10 at receiver, we're good. We'll probably take a guard or 2, or maybe even a center guard. Maybe because I won't call him a swing guy, but just a middle 3 guy, right? Maybe he's got center potential, center ability. So we're going to need to sign some tackles. Again, multiple tackles, multiple defensive linemen that we'll need as well. Probably take a safety, probably take a corner or 2, and then linebacker. I don't know how we're going to sign 5 linebackers. I don't even know if we will, because we have 7 on scholarship, which is pretty crazy. I don't know if they're calling one of those outside linebackers like an edge, treated like a 4-2-5, since that is our scheme. So we'll probably do like a mix of an edge and a true off-ball backer. So looking at these quarterbacks, Taven Jackson's obviously really interesting. Ty Keys is a pretty interesting one. The Swanson kid, I remember him out of high school. And same thing with Gulberson. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, the Penn State kid. But those are some pretty interesting names. Obviously, Taven's a sophomore, which, we have a freshman and a sophomore on the roster, so I don't feel great about that. Ty Keys, I'd rather stack the room from an eligibility standpoint, being a junior. But those are the 2, we're their main interest, so we might as well try to go pursue them. Michael Allen was pretty good back in high school. I think he started his career at UNC before he ended up at UNLV this past year. Elijah Green, Caterisino, obviously some familiar names. Ryan Butler, same thing. He was at Princeton before he ended up at Stanford. And obviously Darius Taylor's become a pretty good player. So, yeah, this is a pretty good group at backs. Darius Taylor being the best, even though our interest, or his interest in us, is a little bit lower. The thing that I'm curious to see is if, because we look at the 4-star ranking, I'm interested to see if you can go to these other schools' rosters and see what these guys' overalls are. I would bet no. Obviously that would be kind of cheating the system. And I guess since they're no longer with the program, so there's no Ryan Butler there. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. That's why, obviously, our roster has so many holes and openings, because they've already accounted for those guys leaving. But I figured it'd be worth a try. Just try and see if we can get a better idea of who these guys are and what their calibers are. But feel pretty good about, I guess the 2 quarterbacks that we're on. Obviously, Taven being a younger guy, being that sophomore, that is going to be something to think about and consider. But, probably just trying to go back and forth here between understanding, what we have, what we need, and things of that nature. Not a lot of, 4-star ratings, you could say, at some of these positions that are going to have high interest in us, which makes sense. While we did have a good year, we're still Group of 5 program, Conference USA, and things like that. So I like Kedricino, man. I'm going to go after him. Just really trying to focus in on some of these guys that I have some familiarity with, just from a personal standpoint, just because there's no way of knowing how good they're really going to be, I guess, unless you scout them. And I don't know if that's really makes sense from a point standpoint, right? Because we're being a smaller caliber program, we're not going to have as many points to use in the portal. And I just know that being strategic is going to be our best bet with our points from a visit standpoint. I would imagine that if you can't get these kids on visits, even in the game, you're really going to struggle to get them. So I want to try to be as strategic as possible. I remember Elijah Green too. So some good backs. I'm just not really sure, what to do just yet. We'll kind of move on and just we'll come back to the running backs and see. But Jordan McCants, I remember him as well, from Alabama, obviously being a sophomore. Kind of fits in the room decently well. Dalton Stroman. Recruited him out of high school a little bit. I know Metcalf down there, Traylon Ray, Nick Harbor. Whoa, Nick Harbor. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, any chance you have to add speed like that to your room, you got to go get him. So that would be a huge get, man. That would be huge. So we'll add those guys to the board. Feel good. I just, it's not really a position of need, but if you're going to take a step back at quarterback, let's try to give whoever the quarterback is going to be as much help as possible. And kind of go from there. Obviously, yeah, you see that number 10. I don't really feel great about that. If anything, I'd like to add probably just one, but again, you got to recruit multiple because you won't be able to get them all. So kind of go from there and really make a focus on Nick Harbor. So again, I'm trying to memorize all of our needs and our numbers. So apologize, going to go back and forth. Just get a better idea of what makes sense. I don't want to spend our hours and our time recruiting, guys at positions that we don't need. But some interesting names. Yeah, John Locke, him too, Daniel Ndukwe. Looking at these tackles here, Charles Galloway, three-star rating, played at South Carolina. So, he's going to have some experience. He's going to have probably a decent rating. McKylan Pounders, that's a really big name too. I mean, wow, probably need to go after him. Malachi Carney, I remember him. Umarian Harris, remember him as well out of high school. So wish we could get in on some of these guys like Larry Crawford. That's interesting. I was at Houston when he was signing. He came on our radar really late at a GMCC. I guess from a video game standpoint, disappointing to see him in the portal after 1 year. Kid's got a lot of upside, but some pretty good names at tackle. If you needed to sign 3 in the portal, out of the portal in real life, man, you would be you'd either be bankrupt after it or you wouldn't sign 3. Just knowing how much those guys cost. So it's a good thing we don't have to worry about that here. It'd be a good opportunity to shore up our offensive line. Obviously, we can scheme some stuff up too to kind of mitigate whatever we may be lacking up front. But looking at these guards here, not a huge need. Like I mentioned, Carter Sweezy might be a guy. I recognize that name. Obviously, JMU does a pretty good job. So at center, it's not really a need. Not really any names that I feel really convicted about or fired up about. But it's interesting. Obviously, down here we're locking out these guys, but it is interesting to see who all is in the portal. And just kind of, same thing here, right? Look at the Saints quarterbacks like Evan Simon, remember him, Lonzo Barnett. It's interesting. He had a really big year this past year. Justin Martin, super talented, just could never earn the starting job for whatever reason. Ashton Daniels obviously ended up at Auburn. We were kind of on him from the beginning. Tucker Gleason had a big year at Toledo. He's a good player for them. Chaden Peary, Eddie Lee Marburger, TJ Finley back in the portal, man. And he may play college football until he's 30. Good for him, man. I would do it if he can, for sure. Take advantage of it. But interesting to see some of these backs, too. A lot of interesting names. Torrance Burgess, the BB kid. So I wish we weren't locked out of some of these guys, that's for sure. But it is what it is. So we'll kind of build out that list and go from there. Sevion Wilkerson, he's been around the block a little bit, but good player for sure. The Brandon McReynolds kid at South Al. So again, it's always interesting to see who goes in the portal and for what reasons. Especially, I don't think there's going to be an NIL portion of this, specifically. I guess we'll kind of see once we get into it. I know there was some talk about it when the game was coming out. What the NIL piece would kind of look like, what you'd be able to do, from a video game standpoint. But I mean, there's Isaiah Bond and Matt Golden. I mean, those, holy cow, we know what they would go for sure. I mean, Aylin Manor. Sorry if I butchered it. But obviously, lots of talent in the receiver room, man. Obviously, I was with Golden at Houston for 2 years. We saw the season he just had with Texas, and we know what Isaiah Bond can do. So those would be some huge names. Pretty good receiver class there, especially with Elick as well. And, so this is kind of shaping up to be a pretty interesting class. Obviously, tight end, not a need for us. Wyatt Sullivan, he ended up entering the portal actually in real life this past year. The kid at UCLA was really, really talented. Big body, really athletic. Kind of interesting to see him kind of go in during the game. Obviously, there's Sam Roush at Stanford, really talented player. Guy, I think he's got NFL potential actually in kind of real life. Alex Bowman, same deal. Really talented player. Colin Weber, I think he ended up leaving too in real life. Jack Nickel at UAB. So that's a pretty good group of tight ends too, honestly. Kind of wish we had a need for one. I guess maybe we could circle back and push somebody out if we wanted to. But same thing, offensive line, PJ Williams. He's become a pretty good player. I remember his recruitment as well, both high school and the portal. So kind of interesting to see who's actually in again. Just going back to center, I don't really see that as a need. I think we're good there. Having 3 is a good spot, just in case anyone can play guard and rotate there. So moving up to defensive end, obviously Daniel Ndukwe. We signed his brother at Houston, David, when he left Western Kentucky. So there's some familiarity and connection there. It says we need 2 right defensive ends. Obviously, we have 7 already. Looking at fresh, and obviously we see Claudel coming back, so that'll be big. I don't really know what to do there. Just kind of like off rip. I guess we'll kind of think about it, but you'd like to have at least 1 for sure. So we'll add Daniel. Just kind of see what else is out there, I guess. You can never have too many pass rushers. I don't know how many of these guys are really dynamite pass rushers. Eric Brantley, you recognize that name. Arden Walker. So there were some, definitely some names out there. Some decent ratings, I think, for what we need at Liberty and where our rooms are. I would bet, with what we have at DN currently, I bet a lot of these guys are probably going to upgrade to what we have. And obviously, especially with the younger guys coming in, give us more of a veteran presence for sure. But interesting to see some of these names down here too. Obviously, there's Bryson. Wish he would have stayed. We would have to be in some of the positions that we're in. But Isaiah Hastings, good player. Casey Branch. Collins was super highly recruited out of high school. So we'll see. I mean, this is not the best end class or edge. I guess they probably classify some of the edges with the outside linebackers. But yeah, I think Daniel right now is probably a good start from my numbers and I guess from a quantity and a quality standpoint. But we should add, in a perfect world, we would just add 2 and try to get to that number. It's better to have depth, than trying to be short going into the season, short on, bodies and talent. So looking at, Indiana's losing 2 of those guys, that kind of sucks for them. So yeah, interesting class. Looking at the defensive tackles, I'm not really familiar with Devontae Smith. What do we have? 4? In a perfect world, you'd probably carry 8. Again, it depends on what you're going to do defensively. So this is saying that we would carry, I think, 6. Got a freshman coming in. Got a freshman already. Got Chris Body coming back. Another junior, another sophomore. So you have freshman, sophomore, junior. In perfect world, you would probably take another junior, another game wrecker who can come in and work for, I guess, 1 year. And let some of those younger guys develop and just, be a certified game wrecker. Can never have too many interior guys too, especially right interior pass rush is so valuable, I think, regardless of what you're going to do defensively. So that'll be interesting, man. I keep seeing this linebacker number and it frightens me. I don't know what the linebacker market's going to look like. Our linebackers already are not great with an incoming freshman, Joe Carter, obviously. Vaughn's got a pretty decent rating, so he's not a total wash. And the room isn't terrible, but it's not great, especially considering we need to sign multiple. Looking at some of these guys here, obviously Flynn. I think that's Jordan Hall. Yeah, I remember Jordan Hall. So he is from Virginia, played at IMG. Jason Campbell, Elijah Henry. So this is definitely, there are definitely some names in that group that have become pretty good players in real life. So I wish we had access to some of those guys down there. But it is what it is. Obviously, there's Herring. Definitely going to go after Jordan Hall. The kid at Navy is pretty interesting. And, we have to recruit these guys because we have a numbers need to fill anyway. Josiah Josiah Trotter, wow. So Josiah Trotter being in is pretty interesting. Goodman kid, we recruited him out of JUCO at Houston. Pretty good film. Cam Robinson, oh my gosh, yeah, he's really talented. True freshman season. This past year, or 2 years ago rather, in 2023 was his true freshman year. Another Virginia kid, I believe. So, man, I'd love to have him back at home if he's going to leave. That'd be a huge get. So, the reality is, too, I mean, obviously needing forward or whatever number is outside linebackers and one at one middle, one Mike. We could probably just, in my mind, I think it makes sense just to take as many good linebackers and kind of figure out the positions next or after that. The Galvin kid from Stanford, I think he was a Northern Iowa transfer in real life, so interesting to see him kind of back in the portal. So, we're just going to recruit as many good linebackers as we can and just kind of figure out the positioning later. No sense in trying to pigeonhole these guys in from the start. This group right here, I'm really interested to see. I'm interested to see, the talent level at cornerback. Isaiah Brown-Murray, pretty decent player. Not really recognizing, obviously Chauncey Logan, I remember him. Some of these names are kind of unfamiliar to me. Jamal Harris, yeah. So I wish we had a better idea of kind of what we were looking at. Obviously, there's a 4-star down there that we are locked out from. So, but the Hezekiah Massis kid, he's pretty solid. I guess if we were to get one, just take the best available. That would kind of be the thought in the real world too, right? Is if you needed one, just take the best available, which it kind of sounds, counterintuitive. Like obviously at any position you want to take the best one, but with quarterback, right? Like that's a pretty good example because we need 2. So yeah, take the best one that you feel like you can get. You're going to need another guy too. So that could be in a situation where you try to take the 2 best, where you try to take, one guy that you feel like is the best, and the other guy is maybe a younger take that you can feel like you can develop, or he can come in and compete for the second string job. And then same thing with the other positions. Like if you have a bunch of older guys and you need some younger depth, and you only have a need or the ability to only take one, then you just try to take a younger guy and try to build up the depth there. So looking at these safeties, Carl Valentine, Jack T, man, I remember recruiting him at Houston as well. Some pretty interesting names. Obviously, even the Penn State kid, the Watley kid. So this is kind of an interesting group. I mean, I know it's not a huge need for us. Obviously, the Moore kid at Duke, I really like. Special teams, we don't really need a kicker or a punt on it. I wouldn't recruit him unless I absolutely had to. So we're going to stay away from that. Just kind of focus on the 2 main sides of the ball. I kind of like where the board's at, honestly. Again, I knew we were going to be pretty heavy in the portal, having to add a lot of these and recruit a lot of these guys. I don't know how the strategy is going to work. We're going to kind of trial by fire, offer scholarship. I don't even know if it's worth trying to recruit these guys. Again, because it goes back to what I was saying about the point, the point differential between like myself and some of these other poor, power forward programs that we're going to be recruiting against. That is one of the things I did learn pretty early was like, even with this being my first go right in the portal, I did learn pretty quickly that, there's a point disadvantage, right? So an hour disadvantage. So we have to be kind of strategic about what we're doing. The biggest thing I felt like was, being able to get these kids on a visit. You can't miss that. And so, yeah, I mean, this is pretty accurate to how it is in real life, right? You're probably only going to get 3 weeks of visits. I think the new rules and calendar now is you only get 2 in December. Obviously, not all on weekends, right? You'll have a bunch of kids doing midweek visits because they're trying to see kind of as many schools as possible too. So yeah, I don't really know kind of the best navigational tool for the portal and in the game. Obviously, I watched some other videos, some other streamers, kind of tried to pick up on their tips and things like that. So I don't want to try to go at this like from a too realistic point of view because it's a video game. I think there might be some good things to apply to it, but at the end of the day, right, it's just kind of all algorithm. I don't know why this guy's even still on the board, but yeah, he's got to go. So obviously we've added some points. Just trying to spread these out as much as possible. Nick Harbor, man, I thought we were going to get him for a second. Obviously, we didn't meet his criteria. Kind of unfortunate. But just looking at, obviously, what we can do, I think scheduling these guys on a visit, again, like that's kind of paramount. So got to get them on and just try to get around them. I don't know if you have as much time to really build out, some of their like their ratings and things like that, their influences. I don't know how much you're really gonna be able to build that out. Kind of just trial by fire and figure some of it out along the way. But obviously the visit part's gonna be huge, and just trying to figure out kind of what sticks with these guys. But again, this is kind of gonna be the same thing over and over. I don't want to get repetitive and redundant. We'll kind of jump ahead a little bit. And just kind of jumping ahead. Kind of some mixed results so far. Second Kedricino. We've missed out on some guys, which is unfortunate. Cam Robinson, I think, chose Virginia Tech over us. Understandable. Power 5 player, went to the other Power 5 program in the state. But we're still in some good spots for some of these guys. We got locked out of Imarion Harris's, top schools. Decided to try to enter Penn State. I get it. Tennessee for Campbell. So get locked out there. Michael Allen, it's kind of a bummer with the deal breaker. So again, I don't know if I'm going to try to replace some of these guys. It probably makes sense, right, to fill kind of the void that they left. I think dependent on the position, like with tackle, we're going to have to find some other guys. Linebacker will probably make sense to do that at some point. Could get back in on Larry Crawford, which is interesting. Maybe we'll circle back there, but the linebacker spots are looking kind of thin, or the availability rather is looking kind of thin. I think we needed 4, and we have 3 on the board right now, and we're not in the lead for any of them. So we'll add Goodman there. Again, name and familiarity from the real life stuff. That'll be pretty neat to see. So obviously still in a good spot for some other guys. Not necessarily these new guys, right, being so far at the bottom, but this right here is like how it goes, right? You offer them, you get them on the visit, all within the same phone call in real life, right? So there's not a lot of recruitment going on. There's not a lot of time passing. It's, hey, guy goes in the portal, we get on the phone, I'm offering him a scholarship. Hey, when can you come on the visit? We'll talk about all the other stuff once you're actually on the visit, but let's make this fast and let's get this done as quickly as we can. So he's moving his recruitment along, obviously kind of nearing the top 3. We're still in the hunt in the mix, which is good. I think, with our interest in him and his interest in us. So I guess that is the one decent part, is if you lose out on guys and you're not going to replace them, you have more points available to kind of spread and upgrade. I think we still are on some good players with Massis and Hall. Obviously, Kedricino. So I like where we're at. I don't love where we're at, missing on some of those guys. But that's how it goes sometimes, too. Like, even in the real world, right? You shoot your shot. Sometimes you're in it with some big-name players. And you know what the challenges are, right? Trying to recruit against Tennessee and Penn State. You know how that's sometimes going to go. Most oftentimes it's going to go. So we'll circle back on some other dudes. We're in a good spot with Massis. I think it's going to be tough to beat out the Florida schools. Trying to go all the way to Virginia. You have to pass some of those schools to get there. So we're locked out of a visit, which is unfortunate. So we'll see how that goes and try to make up the difference with these other points. But I got a feeling it's probably not going to end favorably for us. Don't have enough points for Hall right now, so we'll probably try to adjust some of that. Locked out of a visit there, so I don't know. This is kind of that was kind of the thing I feared. Knowing what the visits kind of were with the high school kids, and then knowing how quickly it was going to happen here. If you're not one of the first, if that's not one of the first things you're doing is scheduling the visit, you're not going to have much of a shot. Which makes sense. I mean, obviously you're trying to recruit these kids and understand, what makes them tick and, what the selling points are going to be on these visits, but you just don't have that time. Kind of just makes sense, I guess, just to focus on the ratings where you are high and just kind of go from there. So again, no visits. We'll just try to fill these gaps with points and go from there, see what happens. Off to a good start, though. I mean, we get Taven Jackson commit. I mean, that's big time for a quarterback. We're going to get Ty Keys. We get our 2 quarterbacks. But obviously, not looking good for the rest of the board heading into this last week. Not necessarily the kind of portal plan and process we were hoping for, the results we were hoping for. We'll get a chance to check out the full class, but those were just the last 2 as we went into the last week. So kind of disappointing. Missed out on essentially all these guys, which it sucks to see all these names going elsewhere, but obviously we'll have to kind of change and adjust the strategy going forward. Ked Reesano going to A&M, I get it, Texas kid. Again, not the portal process that we were looking for and hoping for, so we'll have to make some adjustments down the road, make some position changes. I guess just try to fill the gaps in year 2. I think this will be kind of the interesting aspect of it, and see where we are scholarship-wise too. It's interesting. Jordan White's up to 86, and we've had some guys make some strides. I like where we are at quarterback, obviously. 4 guys at left guard. Who knows what the flexibility could be there. Looking at Jordan White, obviously, and this is pretty interesting. If he moved to the tight end, he'd have a higher overall rating. So, I don't know, maybe if we just go some 6-0 line, some tackle over stuff. Who knows, but 3 centers, obviously the 2 right guards, so there is depth and opportunity to add one, move one of these left guards over to right guard, maybe one of the freshmen there. So, I don't know. We'll have to get creative and strategic with it. Just kind of looking at it, obviously Brian Hannibal being 75, maybe it makes sense to move him over and get kind of instead of being our backup left guard, move over and be a starter for us. Decent line again. We would have liked to get some of those guys that we were pursuing in the portal instead of being where we are now. But not a bad spot to be in. TJ Bush up to 81. I think that's big. Obviously we're pretty deep at end. 7 ends. Again, you'd probably like to be at 8. 7's not the worst number to be at. We're a little light on D tackle. I don't love that. Only having, I think it was 4. Go back and check that at some point. Yeah. So don't love 4. It is what it is. We're good for the most part at backers, 7 backers. I think some of these guys are going to be edges. We are thin there too. So obviously we'll have to move some of these guys over to, the quote-unquote right side and be right outside linebackers for us. But I guess worse spots to be in. Sonny Kimura, another freshman that we'll have to kind of develop and turn some of these guys into good players. But would have liked to added 1 or 2 more there for sure. So we'll see. Vaughn, Carter, all guys would have the ability to kind of keep getting better, keep improving, maybe even play for us some next year. I think the biggest thing is just going to see what our total number of scholarships are. I don't know if we're going to be short. I got a feeling we will be. But we're looking good at corner. Obviously, lots of 70s. I think for what we are as a program, that's good. Decent at safety with BG and some of those other guys coming back. Mo's coming back there. So kind of worse spots to be in. Maybe some of these corners, one of them might end up being a safety. I think we got a good number there at corner, though. I think we got a good number at safety, too, so there's probably not a huge need from a number standpoint to take one of these corners and turn them into a safety, but who knows? Lots of time and opportunity for that. I think at some point I'd like to join the ACC. I don't know how that would work. I guess we could try it, right? And just see if we can get in there. Go down here. Are we a 1? No, we should be better than that, right? Yeah, there we are. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah, so we're in the ACC going into year 2. I think that's huge. I mean, makes sense coming off a big season in which we made the playoff, beat Georgia. Had a decent run in North Carolina, so it makes sense regionally too, right? Join the ACC, and I'll tell you what, man, the facilities and the commitment to athletics that Liberty has, I think it could fit in the ACC. In a Power 4 conference. I don't know what everyone else's situations are, but I think that those things being important, I think that makes Liberty a good fit. So looks like we're gonna have to make some moves here. I guess I was wrong. Looks like we're over. So, yeah, well, that's a good spot to be in, I guess, trying to cut guys rather than having a need to add them. So, I guess we'll just kind of start from the bottom. I mean, this is a real process too, right? Every year, each college football program is looking at their roster and saying, hey, we need to move on from this guy or this guy for whatever reason, whether it's performance-based, whether it's, off the field, whether it's some combination of the two. It's the unfortunate part of the business, but it is, that's part of how it goes, and if guys aren't going to uphold their end of the bargain, then it'd be best for both parties just to kind of explore a different route. But man, we've really jumped up in overall in our ratings, starting the season at 13th overall too. I mean, holy cow, we get Tennessee coming to Williams Stadium. Wow, that's huge. That would never happen, but yeah, that's big. Miami coming too, so We go on the road to Virginia Tech, which will be interesting. Obviously, I was there when we beat Virginia Tech during the COVID year, and it was nothing like the real atmosphere since it was COVID. So, I'm excited to join the ACC. I think that sets us up for a good year 2 spot. Obviously, I don't know what we're going to get out of the quarterback play and what that's going to look like. Obviously, a huge reason for our success last year. Looking at the top 25, obviously like Tennessee, not in the ACC, but they're on the schedule. But there are a good number of ACC schools on here. So it's going to be a pretty competitive conference, especially in year 1. I don't know if the roster is going to be really ready for that. Don't expect really any preseason All-Americans. Just the best guys were last year were seniors, and they've kind of moved on. But a lot of good players back in general in college football. Obviously, a lot of young talent there. So, this is shaping up to be a pretty interesting year 2, joining the Power 4 conference. I wish our roster were in a little bit better situation. Wish we had some of these guys on our team too. So be curious to see. I appreciate you guys watching and following. Whoever does watch and follow. If you have any recommendations or anything, please drop them in the comments. Hit me up. Let me know. I was excited to make this video and just kind of dive into some of the details of what the real world process looks like and how it compares to the video game. But follow and stick around for season 2. All right, I'll holler at you guys. See you.